Who would have thought someone dared to challenge the top fighter? Hearing that the new transfer student is taking on Hanma, the gang completely loses their minds. Back in the chaotic classroom, an unbelievable scene unfolds. The invincible Hanma is sent flying across the room. Clearly, our boy is no innocent nerd. The battle intensifies as our boy presses his advantage with agile footwork. Seeing Hanma actually bleeding from his nose leaves the crowd absolutely stunned. Pushed to his limits and running low on stamina, the incredibly stubborn Hanma refuses to stay down. Swallowing his pain, he roars to kick off a new round of carnage. Facing the relentless chase, Hanma suddenly changes his tactics. Using a bizarre finger technique to extend his reach, he lands a devastating high kick right on our boy's face. Taking that heavy hit only unleashes our boy's inner beast. Dropping all defenses, the two dive straight into a brutal, bloody brawl. Our boy quickly sees through the opponent's tricky attacks. Though caught in a tight chokehold, he lets out a fierce roar and forcefully breaks free with monster-like strength. Abandoning all defense, the two dive into a brutal, bare-knuckle brawl. This relentless exchange of heavy blows completely stuns the onlookers into silence. The hallway quickly fills with students drawn to the insane showdown. Even the school's hidden elite fighters are deeply shaken by the terrifying display of power. With their stamina completely drained, both are fighting purely on willpower. Seizing an opening, the rival pins our guy to the floor, choking him for a final finish. The intense suffocation turns our boy's mind blank, even triggering absurd hallucinations. He is on the verge of completely blacking out from the lethal choke. Pushed to the absolute brink, our boy suddenly awakens. With a beastly roar and overwhelming strength, he unleashes a devastating punch that sends his rival crashing through the desks. Giving no room to breathe, our guy pounces like a wild beast, pinning his opponent down for a ruthless beatdown. This thrilling deathmatch finally reaches its savage conclusion. Our boy unleashes overwhelming power, pitting the exhausted Hanma to the ground. Under his relentless strikes, the once unbeatable boss can now only gasp in pain, completely defenseless. Seeing his opponent's face contorted in agony, our boy doesn't hold back at all. He mounts him and rains down brutal punches. As Hanma loses consciousness, the onlookers are left in absolute shock. With Hanma collapsed on the ground, the battle is finally over. Just when everyone thinks our guy is crying from exhaustion, he suddenly bursts into maniacal laughter, fully unleashing his inner beast. Completely fired up, our boy points forward and declares his final target, the school's strongest, Young-shik Jin. Hearing this arrogant challenge, the hidden boss doesn't get angry, he actually trembles with pure excitement. Who would have thought that this campus monster was just a daydreaming teen when he first transferred? The moment he stepped through the gates, he realized this place was an absolute madhouse for fighting freaks. Our guy was hoping for a romantic encounter with girls from the neighboring school, but reality hit him hard. Surrounded by aggressive meatheads, his dreams of a sweet youth were instantly shattered. Walking through streets swarming with delinquents, our boy is forced to accept the harsh reality. Since a sweet high school romance is off the table, he has to switch to a much more brutal survival mode. To survive in this jungle, he disguises himself as a timid nerd on the outside. But in secret, he aggressively arms himself with insane grip training, silently waiting for the day to finally tear off his mask. During his self-introduction, our boy deliberately puts on a clumsy, stuttering nerd persona, completely fooling the class and sparking a wave of mockery. But in a split second, he drops the act. Flipping a desk, he arrogantly announces that his true hobby is fighting and his ultimate goal is to become an MMA fighter. Looking at the dumbfounded delinquents, he goes completely unhinged, declaring his master plan to crush every single fighter in the school within just 1 week. After the white-haired teacher briefly intervenes, our boy takes his seat. He forcibly befriends his desk mate with a monstrous grip, secretly thrilled about the upcoming battles. Such a blatant provocation instantly enrages the class's fierce delinquents. As several guys lunge forward in anger, a brutal group brawl is on the verge of erupting. Right at that critical moment, the seemingly ordinary old teacher turns around. With just one terrifying, murderous glare, he instantly freezes the rioting students in their tracks. With the chaos suppressed, our boy takes the chance to offer a friendly handshake to the class boss, though deep down, he is already eagerly anticipating their next clash. Our boy shakes hands with the class boss to establish dominance. Beneath a friendly surface, they're secretly testing each other. Having tamed the troublemakers, he's incredibly excited for the battles ahead. To conquer the school, our guy starts gathering intel. He discovers a bizarre lineup of fighters, a massive powerhouse, an agile b-boy striker, and a baseball maniac who throws insanely fast punches. Terrified by our boy's overwhelming aura, the once arrogant students turn into obedient informants. They spill every secret about the top fighters while desperately buttering him up to avoid his wrath. The intel also reveals ruthless guys who smash heads with guitars and calculating tactical geniuses. Hearing about these bizarre yet deadly opponents only makes our boy's blood boil with excitement. When asking about the former top dog, Hanma Park, our guy corners a student in the restroom. Recalling their previous brutal showdown, his eyes blaze with an uncontrollable thirst for his next fight. However, despite being an absolute monster in combat, our boy is just a normal teenager facing boring academics. Stuck in class, he suffers terribly, wearing a mask of pure agony on his desk. In class, our boy pretends to take notes while doodling. But right after the bell rings, a sudden uproar echoes through the room. A delinquent just found his precious plushie completely crushed. Seeing the stuffing everywhere, the furious heavyweight assumes our guy did it and throws a massive punch. Since trouble came knocking, our boy drops the good student act and takes a fighting stance. The conflict instantly ignites the whole classroom. Facing a gang of attackers, our boy unleashes his monstrous strength, sending opponents flying backward through the air. Followed by endless screams, the once arrogant bullies drop like bowling pins. Amidst the groaning crowd, only our guy stands tall like an absolute god of war. This terrifyingly one-sided massacre instantly makes the bystanders' jaws drop. They finally realize that this seemingly ordinary transfer student hits with absolute precision and brutality. Rumors quickly spread that he transferred just to challenge every top fighter. With another devastatingly heavy punch, he stands over the defeated, boldly declaring himself the strongest in the school. No matter who the opponent is, they all turn into punching bags against his absolute power. Every punch and fierce kick brings bone-chilling impact sounds, leaving them totally defenseless. Right now, our boy is like a wild beast completely off its leash, ruthlessly destroying the arrogant bullies one by one. And this violent storm of campus brawls has only just begun. With a deafening roar, our boy completely crushes the school's top fighters, standing over them like an absolute monster. His overwhelming aura leaves every witness paralyzed with pure terror. The massive commotion catches the attention of the school's former top dog, Hanma. Shaking off his dizziness, he looks at the bodies scattered across the hallway, mildly annoyed but definitely curious. Hanma wanders into a room to find the usually arrogant bullies battered and utterly depressed. They shamefully recount how the new transfer student dismantled them, exploiting every single weak spot with terrifying speed. As Hanma dismisses their pathetic excuses, the long-haired cadre steps up. Recalling the brutal flashbacks of our boy's fights, he seriously warns Hanma not to underestimate this monster. Hanma laughs it off, thinking they are just overreacting to a loss. Just as he turns to leave for a snack, the long-haired guy drops the heavy truth. Hanma is the only one left who can stop him. Ironically, the monster they are so terrified of is currently limping through the halls, groaning in pain. Our boy took some damage from the battles, and is just desperately wandering around looking for some tiger balm. But his reputation has already preceded him. The moment he steps out, his pained scowl sends students into a complete panic. Imagining themselves getting brutally beaten, they immediately drop to the ground and surrender before he even raises a finger. Still bruised from his recent brawls, our boy is just looking for some medicine. But his terrifying aura sends the poor students running for their lives before he can even speak. While students whisper about his ruthless new reputation, the hallway atmosphere suddenly drops to freezing. Right around the corner, two fated rivals cross paths. The heavy footsteps halt as Taeyob and the former boss, Hanma, meet face to face. Just as the tension peaks, they surprisingly break the ice with a mockingly polite gesture. You'd think they'd just walk away, but Hanma suddenly throws a feint punch. Seeing our boy instinctively flinch, Hanma instantly realizes Taeyob is still nursing his injuries. Being a proud former champion, Hanma refuses to fight dirty. He calls out Taeyob's bluff, bluntly stating he won't take advantage of a wounded opponent. Unfazed by the taunt, our guy confidently sets a recovery deadline. The two rivals lock in a highly anticipated showdown. Sunday, 2 weeks from now, right behind the gym. Watching Hanma walk away, Taeyob quietly touches his aching wounds. He knows deep down that the clash in 2 weeks is going to be an absolutely brutal bloodbath. The narrow hallway encounter brings the tension to freezing point. Even with blood dripping from his mouth, Park Hanma flashes a maniacal, excited grin at our boy. The ultimate showdown in 2 weeks is officially set. News of the fight spreads like wildfire, instantly setting the whole campus buzzing. Everyone is whispering, eagerly anticipating the epic clash between the two top dogs. Meanwhile, our boy is aggressively warming up his punches. Despite the visible bruising on his shoulder, his burning desire for combat can no longer be hidden. Just then, a friend from his hometown calls in a panic. He desperately warns our guy not to mess with Park Hanma, claiming the red-haired punk is an absolute monster. Hearing the terrifying stories of his opponent wiping out entire gangs, our boy doesn't flinch at all. Instead, his smirk only grows wider. A monster? That's exactly what he's looking for. The promised day arrives with a heavy downpour. Surrounded by a crowd of onlookers, our boy strips off his shirt without a second thought, standing face to face with the tyrant. Cold rain mixes with their ruthless trash talk, pushing the tension to its breaking point. The bystanders hold their breath, their eyes locked on the impending bloodbath. Without any pointless probing or extra words, the highly anticipated battle in the rain finally kicks off with an explosive start. With roars that tear through the rain, the two launch themselves at each other like unchained beasts. Their devastating punches collide in midair, shattering the raindrops around them. In the pouring rain, the fierce brawl reaches its climax. Feeling the thrill of the fight, our boy can't hide his grin. He knows exactly who the stronger one is here. Memories of his transfer flash through his mind. His relentless thirst to find and challenge true power now fuels his burning fighting spirit even more. Back to reality, our guy's attacks turn utterly brutal, giving Hanma zero time to breathe. With a relentless combo, he pins him down, coldly declaring his defeat. Though Hanma forces a laugh to hide the pain, his body has reached its limit. As he collapses into the rainwater, this thrilling deathmatch finally echoes with a TKO victory. But is it really over? Facing Hanma's desperate final counterattack, our boy shifts midair and delivers an unbelievable, physics-defying high kick. This kick doesn't just crush his opponent, it leaves the bystanders completely speechless. His inhuman strength and reflexes simply defy all logic. But Hanma is built different too. Even while losing balance in the air, he desperately grabs onto our guy, pulling them both crashing down to the ground. The moment they hit the ground, our boy doesn't even pause. Eyes burning with rage, he charges up a devastating punch, ready to deliver the absolute finishing blow. In the heat of the clash, our boy completely reads Hanma's movements. Thrilled like a wild beast, he lands a devastating right hook. Seeing his opponent struggle just fuels his adrenaline. The delinquents watch silently in the pouring rain. Even seeing their boss getting battered, they stick to the rule of not interfering, holding on to the blind hope that Hanma will somehow win. Giving absolutely no room to breathe, our boy pins him to the ground. Taunting his stubborn opponent, he raises his fist high, fully determined to end this brutal street fight right here. But just when it seems over, a spark of instinct hits Hanma. Refusing to surrender, he finds a perfect opening and lands an explosive counterpunch that sends our guy flying backward. The fight resets, and the two clash again like rabid beasts. No defense, no stepping back, just pure raw violence. This isn't about technique anymore. It's a sheer battle of willpower and madness. Meanwhile, a figure walking in the rain drifts into past memories. The scene shifts to an old boxing gym, revealing the crazy, blood-soaked dedication these fighters had during their relentless training days. Behind every punch lies endless days of sweat and torment. Amidst the roaring shouts, the gym fighters grit their teeth, burning their obsession with victory into their muscle memory. The coach's exhausted roars echo constantly, reminding them to guard their exposed sides, for this is the iron rule of survival that decides life and death in a real fight. Back in the rainy battlefield, our boy perfectly targets Hanma's exposed side with a crushing blow, instantly following up with a terrifying, storm-like barrage of punches. The massive impact sends Hanma flying. Looking at his battered opponent, our boy shows no fatigue. Instead, he smirks and announces the warm-up is over, ready to shift into top gear. Before his words settle, he moves like lightning, landing a vicious high kick to the face followed seamlessly by a brutal low kick. He's so fast that Hanma's brain simply can't process it. Hanma desperately tries to fight back with his last breath, but the absolute gap in power and speed seals his fate. With our boy's final roar, this brutal night match reaches its ultimate climax. As the rain pours down, our boy unleashes his terrifying power to end the fight. Even battered into a TKO, Hanma forces a defiant, bloodstained grin. In that split second, our guy experienced a totally new sensation. Evolving mid-fight, he landed a devastating combo that sent his rival flying backwards. Refusing to let up, Our boy chased his opponent right into the air, delivering a relentless and devastating mid-air strike before Hanma could even fall. The spectators are left completely speechless. Witnessing 3 perfectly timed kicks executed mid-air, they finally realize what a terrifying monster this transfer student truly is. With the dust settling, our boy tries to force his opponent's surrender. But just as he acts tough, his own legs betray him, completely drained by the extreme exertion. Now both fighters are kneeling in the mud, refusing to back down. Our boy stubbornly starts a countdown, turning it into a battle of sheer willpower to see who stands first. The rainy night deathmatch finally reaches its end. Even though Hanma is completely beaten down, he refuses to let go of our boy's shirt. Seeing this stubborn guy, our boy tells him to stop dragging it out like a fool. Moved by such sheer stubbornness, our guy actually holds back his final, fatal punch. They make a promise for a rematch in exactly 1 month. Left with nowhere to vent his explosive fighting spirit, our boy just lets out a massive roar into the rainy night. A few days later, in another corner of the city, a mysterious dark-haired guy makes a quiet entrance. With that signature silver lip ring and a dangerously casual vibe, you can tell right away he is no joke. Turns out, he's been waiting for an old acquaintance. Facing the sudden challenge, the lip ring guy doesn't panic at all. Instead, he just smirks like a predator welcoming its prey. A new storm is about to brew in this dark alley. Meanwhile, back at school, during the routine morning roll call, the seemingly innocent Jin Young-shik politely raises his hand. Everything looks incredibly peaceful and perfectly normal. But then, the vibe instantly changes. Our boy and Hanma, 2 absolute battle maniacs, are actually just button mashing furiously in an arcade. Spamming fighting combos on screen seems to be their new way of burning off excess energy. Even during these chill moments, the brutal rainy night deathmatch still lingers in our boy's mind. Pushed to his limits, and facing terrifying rivals didn't scare him at all. Instead, it fully ignited his burning obsession to become even stronger. Our boy reflects on the brutal rainy night brawl. He knows that to survive in a school full of monsters, relentless daily training is a must. Those powerful opponents and near-death experiences didn't make him back down. Instead, they completely ignited his bloodthirsty instinct to grow stronger. Covered in injuries, our boy tries to buy some medicine, only to find the pharmacy closed on Sundays. Just as he sits miserably in the rain, a familiar figure appears. It's Young-shik Jin, the retired tyrant disguised as a good student. Seeing our boy's pathetic state, he opens his umbrella and carries the stubborn guy back without a second word. Turns out Young-shik's family runs the pharmacy. He tosses out some painkillers, but instantly ruins the moment by shamelessly asking for money. Our boy angrily refuses to pay a dime. Visiting the hospital later, our boy is completely stunned the moment he opens the door. Park Hanma, the top-tier fighter he just barely beat, is now lying unconscious and severely injured. The bandage guy nearby explains the harsh truth. Unable to accept his defeat, Hanma went to challenge the boss of another school, only to be completely crushed. Hearing this, an unprecedented anger ignites within our boy. And that mysterious, ruthlessly powerful guy with the lip piercing has secretly become his next ultimate target. Just as the intense rainy night battle concludes, an absurd demon summoning attempt fails hilariously, putting a weird but funny end to the chaos. But our boy isn't taking a break. After some digging, he locks onto his next target, Jin Young-shik, a former fighting tyrant who lost a massive amount of weight just to focus on his studies. Following the leads, our boy storms right into the classroom. Seeing the former legend playing the good student, he loudly exposes his past and demands a fight on the spot. When Jin tries to play dumb, our guy grabs his wrist to force the issue. But the moment he pulls, he breaks a sweat. This nerd's hidden strength is so monstrous that our boy can't even make him budge. Seeing Jin still trying to walk away, our boy throws caution to the wind. He unleashes a barrage of the most insulting trash talk, dancing wildly right on the guy's last nerve. The extreme insults finally hit the mark. Pushed beyond his limit, Jin snaps and instantly grabs our boy by the collar with terrifying speed, coldly asking if he has a death wish. The sheer killing intent terrifies the whole class into silence. Yet, despite sweating profusely and struggling to breathe, our boy is thrilled to the core. This absolute monster is exactly the opponent he's been craving. Pushed to his limit, Jin Young-shik glares at our boy. His fist clenches tight, ready to unleash his terrifying, monstrous strength. However, he manages to hold back his anger at the last second and walks away. The surrounding crowd mocks our boy, assuming he's paralyzed with fear. But having survived a near-death experience, our boy doesn't back down. Instead, he yells at Jin's back, admitting that this overwhelming power made him realize his own flaws. Covered in blood and trembling with excitement, our guy vows to make Jin his ultimate opponent. This sheer, reckless intensity actually sends chills down Jin's spine. Meanwhile, a girl named Kwon Jun, who loves photography, can't stop recalling the day she accidentally witnessed our boy beating up his opponents from a window. Our boy's raw, explosive vitality in combat completely mesmerized her. Ever since then, the photo she secretly snapped has become her most prized possession. When her friends tease her for being a weirdo who enjoys watching guys fight, Jun quickly explains that she's just obsessed with the pure, explosive energy of those extreme moments. To perfectly capture these lightning-fast movements, she went all out. She even took on exhausting part-time jobs just to save up for a high-end DSLR camera. Late one night, Jun sneaks out with her new gear to hunt for material. While questioning her own sanity, she suddenly hears the unmistakable sound of a fight echoing from a dark alley. Thrilled by our boy's incredible moves, Jun readied her new camera in the dark, determined to capture the perfect artistic moment. But the automatic flash instantly gave away her hiding spot. The enraged villain locked onto her and charged with a furious roar. Terrified, Jun fell to the ground, desperately clutching her camera as the villain's massive hand viciously grabbed her arm. Just in the nick of time, our boy intercepted the attack. Seeing the trembling girl, his suppressed anger completely exploded into a devastating punch. With a sickening crunch, the villain was sent flying. Had Jun not frantically held him back, our angry guy would have completely dismantled his opponent. After the dangerous encounter, Jun finally realized her racing heart wasn't love, but pure artistic inspiration. Relieved, she casually asked the baffled guy for a favor. Before he could protest, she set up her tripod. The result? A hilarious commemorative photo of her giving our struggling hero a sudden chokehold. Meanwhile, hidden martial arts expert Song Jin couldn't stop replaying our boy's recent brutal fights in his mind. The raw intensity of those battles was truly unforgettable. After school, Song Jin gave a female classmate a bike ride home. Listening to her gossip about the recent campus brawls, he couldn't help but smile in the evening breeze. After waving goodbye, Song Jin headed straight to the corner boxing gym run by his father, the very place that concealed his own true strength. As soon as Song Jin steps into his family's gym, he sees his dad throwing a massive fit, terrifying the poor trainees. Looking closer, he finds our boy Taeyob enduring a brutal physical punishment for his street fights. Seeing our guy covered in sweat and bruises, Song Jin quickly steps in to plead with his dad. Thanks to Song Jin's intervention, his dad finally calls off the training. During the break, Song Jin checks on Taeyob's leg injury and advises him to stay out of trouble for a while. The next day at school, rumors are flying about Taeyob challenging the retired fighting king. Everyone thinks he has completely lost his mind. Up on the rooftop, our restless boy tries to force a sparring match. Song Jin immediately locks him from behind, strictly warning him to heal his leg first. Looking down at the commotion below, Song Jin finally opens up. He complains about how his dad absolutely forbids him from learning martial arts, leaving his natural talent completely wasted. Despite his complaints during the day, Song Jin can't stop thinking about his dad's punching techniques late at night. The heavy impact sounds keep echoing in his head. Unable to focus on his homework anymore, Song Jin drops his pen, pushes his chair back, and stands up for a quick stretch. Following his dad's mechanics, he throws a punch that creates a perfect, cracking sound in the silent room. He's thrilled by the flawless strike until he turns around and realizes he's not alone. Before he can even wipe the sweat off his face, his sister peeks through the door, hurrying him to come downstairs for breakfast before their dad gets annoyed. Down at the lively breakfast table, his dad loudly praises our boy's relentless determination to learn. He pulls Song Jin into a comforting hug, telling him not to stress over getting caught practicing last night. As the family casually chats, the dad puts on a serious face. He admits that our guy is completely different from regular gym members, driven by a terrifying and unyielding thirst for combat. Recalling the crazy stunts our boy pulled, the dad just shakes his head. From extreme mountain training to begging endlessly with tears in his eyes, his stubbornness was simply on another level. Looking at the walls filled with championship trophies and vintage photos, the family fully agrees. Our guy's wild, never-give-up attitude perfectly mirrors their dad back in his glorious prime. Back at school, Song Jin happily greets a friend in the hallway. But the moment he steps inside his classroom, the mood drops below freezing as the retired tyrant radiates a terrifying, untouchable aura. Classmates whisper nervously, barely daring to breathe. Looking at the furious Yoonshik and our boy calmly reading with his bandaged arm, everyone firmly believes the new kid is basically asking for a death wish. The heavy tension stretches all the way to P class. Hiding on the sidelines, the track team ace makes a totally twisted face, eagerly plotting to crush our boy's ego in a highly public sprint. However, before he can execute his master plan, the reality on the field goes completely off the rails. A normal soccer game instantly turns into a hilariously chaotic brawl, with students using ridiculous finishing moves just to kick the ball. While the track star tries to flex and challenge our boy to a sprint, a louder cheer erupts from the basketball court nearby. As the basketball swishes through the net, Songjin shows off his flawless skills. Watching this supposedly dangerous guy, our boy starts plotting how to test his limits. To force out Songjin's true strength, our guy decides to stir the pot. With a wicked smirk, he steps onto the court and aggressively targets the other players. Our boy shamelessly uses every dirty trick in the book, tackling and stomping. Yet Songjin stays completely calm, smoothly dodging all the petty fouls. Realizing his dirty tactics aren't working, our guy shamelessly bear hugs him from behind. But even with this defense, Songjin powers through and takes the shot anyway. As the whistle blows for a break, our panting boy seizes the moment to challenge Songjin to a one-on-one half-court game, which he accepts without hesitation. The one-on-one officially begins. Songjin instantly bursts forward with terrifying speed, forcing our boy into a tight defensive stance. To force out his true power, he'll have to get serious. The one-on-one kicks off. Facing Songjin's aggressive drive, our boy answers by leaping into the stratosphere, denying the shot with a monstrous block that leaves everyone speechless. But Songjin is a seasoned baller. Despite the intense mid-air collision, he manages to find the perfect angle and sinks the first basket. Soon after, Songjin drains a smooth mid-range jumper. With the momentum entirely on his side, the crowd starts thinking the match is already over. However, our guy isn't panicking. He realizes that cheap fouls won't expose Songjin's true power. He needs to crush him with pure, overwhelming pressure. No sooner said than done. He completely switches up his tactics, using a sharp feint to break through the defense, igniting the fierce tension between them. In the next clash, our boy pulls a dirty trick. He casually breaks Songjin's glasses during defense, blinding him, and then cheekily taunts his visually impaired opponent. Taking advantage of Songjin's blurred vision, our boy unleashes his freakish athleticism. He launches himself into the air and forces a high-altitude layup to put himself on the scoreboard. This shot completely turns the tide. Dominating the aerial battles, he even pulls off an insane double clutch, forcefully evening the score to 2-all. It's match point. An enraged Songjin charges in like a berserker, while our boy drops all pretense, using every dirty grab and pull in the book. He's going all out to force Songjin's true nature. Facing an absolute wall of defense, our boy forces his way up, clashing midair for the final shot. The crowd can only watch in absolute disbelief at his sheer madness. The ball swishes through the net, ending this explosive one-on-one. Songjin crashes down, and with a final score of 3-2, our boy actually manages to pull off the impossible upset. While Songjin is still processing that unbelievable final play, the massive upset sparks intense curiosity among the students. They gather around to dig up Songjin's hidden past. The gossip squad digs up an old notebook filled with middle school rumors. According to the records, there was a terrifying student whose very name struck fear into everyone. The boys gasp as they read the family name in the notebook. All the pieces fit together perfectly. The lawless menace from the rumors is none other than Choi Songjin. Legend has it that Songjin was an absolute beast back then. He didn't just pummel the bullies into a pulp, he mercilessly crushed anyone who tried to stop the fight, turning the classroom into a war zone. Reading about the brutal ground and pound, the gossiping students break into a cold sweat. They just can't reconcile that bloodthirsty maniac with the Songjin they know today. But the strange thing is, ever since he transferred, Songjin has completely sheathed his claws. Looking at this quiet, perfectly behaved model student, you have to wonder what exactly made him seal away his dark past. Curious students are buzzing with gossip about Songjin's past. They suspect he was the terrifying student, but his current model student act makes them a bit skeptical. The gossip soon shifts to a potential showdown between our boy and the retired boss, Jin Yoonshik. Squatting in the bushes, the eager crowd hotly debates who would actually win. Some argue that our boy is a ruthless wild card who even took down the former top dog. Facing an unpredictable maniac without any data, is a massive disadvantage for anyone. But their biggest reason to bet on our guy is Youngshik's current physique. Having lost 50 kilograms since his prime, the retired boss simply lacks the power to stand his ground. Just as these guys get completely carried away, the air freezes. They stiffly turn their heads, only to be paralyzed by fear, and enraged Youngshik is standing right behind them. Radiating a suffocating aura, Youngshik glares down at the terrified students. Interesting. Say that for me one more time. It looks like these unlucky guys won't be walking away easily.